Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for Autopolis with the 2016 Audi R18 and the Toyota TS050. Let's get this started. Before you start your lap, use braking and throttle to charge up the hybrid battery so you'll have enough to be able to last the entire lap. And make sure you go for a late apex as you're about to start the new lap so you can get a faster start. And we're using the 2016 Audi R18 for the qualifying as this is a really good one lap pace car. Bring yourself towards the left and your first braking point is the 100 meter board. You're going to be braking hard for a short while, ease off of the brakes as you turn in and straighten up the car as soon as you can so you can deploy the battery charge. Bring yourself towards the left. Your next braking point is just after you pass this path that is on the left. Brake hard for a short moment, ease off of the brakes, and do lots of throttle control as you go through these series of turns and brake just before the curb on the right ends. Brake hard for a short while, slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in, get the car straightened up as soon as you can, and fully accelerate. Try to straighten up the steering so the hybrid battery can be deployed. A bit of throttle control through here, bring yourself towards the right, and your next braking point is before you pass this sign that is on the right before the 50 meter board. Brake hard for a short while, carefully ease off of the brakes, nice and gentle on the throttle so the car stays stable. And bring yourself towards the left. Look for the 50 meter board as you want to brake before you pass it. And you want to take these turns a little fast, so quick burst of braking. And then a little bit more braking as the curb on the left ends as you want to adjust your car. Get it straightened up and fully accelerate to deploy the battery charge. Lift off our throttle for this turn and brake just after the left turn ends, so you want to brake pretty early for this turn. Lots of throttle control needed for these couple of turns. A bit more throttle control as you make your way through this left turn. Bring yourself towards the left, and when the curb on the left ends, you want to use a little bit of braking control. Bring yourself towards the inside of the turn, and as you're starting to point towards the pit building, that is when you start to fully accelerate. But that is pretty much it for this lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a look at the strategies. For this race, we are doing 12 laps at Autopolis with the Group 1 cars. Fuel is a ×2, so don't worry about the fuel, but the tower is a ×6, so tower is a bit of an issue, which means that you're going to want to do a pit stop. We have both the racing soft and medium tires available to us to use, and both tires are required, so you do need to use both tire compounds. So because of this, you are going to be doing a one stop for a tire change. And if you're starting in the very front, you can start on the racing soft tires, but if you're starting a bit more towards the middle or the back, you can start on the racing medium tires because you're going to have to deal with the dirty air. So starting in the middle or in the back with the racing soft tires isn't really going to make much sense. And also, because we are in these high downforce cars, dirty air is going to be a bit of an issue, especially as we go through the twistier parts of the track. So the dirty air comes into effect whenever you're within 3/4 of a second behind someone, so you'll get less downforce as you go through the high speed turns, which means that your car will understeer and you'll need to slow down so you don't understeer off track. And also, you might end up scrubbing your tires a bit more as you're trying to make the turns. The hairpins are also a little bit dangerous through here because you're going pretty slow, so you don't have the downforce that you need, so you need to be pretty careful as you go through those hairpins. Just be nice and easy on the throttle to keep the car nice and stable. So the dirty air is going to make things pretty difficult for you to be able to pass someone unless if you're on the main straight. If you're in the main street, that dirty air actually comes into good use as you'll be able to go a heck of a lot faster and potentially get an overtake done. But through the twistier parts of the track, that's where the dirty air is going to hurt you. Also, you might be wondering why I'm using the Toyota TS050 in this race, and that is because for this daily race C, there are two different metas. So in the time trial meta, the 2016 Audi R18 is the best car because it has a really good one lap pace, which is what the time trial is pretty much all about. And its battery charge will be able to last just long enough to be able to make one lap. And after that, the batteries on the Audi R18, it won't have enough charge to do more than one lap. Unless if you're doing a bit of battery saving, but at that point you're slowing yourself down. And that's what's going to make it a bit of a problem here at Autopolis in the race, because if you run out of battery charge in the race, which can happen, then you're going to be in a bit of trouble, especially from those using the Toyota TS050. And that is where the TS050 comes in, as I banned it here for some reason. Anyways, the TS050 in the race is really good because you don't have to do any sort of battery management. Really, all you need to do is bring the brake balance towards the back of the car, which in this case I had it at +3, and you're pretty much good to go. You don't have to worry about doing any sort of crazy battery management or anything like that. Bring the brake balance towards the back of the car and you are good to go. Also, this car does handle the turns a bit better than the Audi R18, so that is something worth thinking about. And in terms of how long the tires last in the pit stop sequence, the racing soft tires, they last anywhere from 6 to 9 laps. It'll depend on your brake balance, the car that you're using, and if you're always under someone's dirty air. So that is something that you will have to take into mind as you're starting your race. In this case, I was able to make 8 laps. Also, be careful when you go into the pit stop because I ended up hitting the barriers. So yeah, don't be like me, don't hit the barriers. Just be nice and careful as you make your way into the pit stops because it is a bit tricky to get in there. And your pit loss is going to be around 16 to 17 seconds. And I got an SR down because I hit the pit barriers, so just try not to do that. Also be careful on your way out of the pit stops because if you're in a hybrid car like the Audi R18 or the Toyota TS050, the battery system will deploy as you exit the pit stop, so you will need to brake a bit earlier than you think. And yeah, not much to say about this race. As I mentioned earlier, the Audi R18 is good for the time trial and the Toyota TS050 is good for the race, in which in this case I got an 18 minutes and 43 seconds, including the part where I binned it earlier in the race. And I actually did try this race earlier with the Audi R18, and it's a bit of a pain in the butt to try to make the battery last all race. It is possible to make it work, but it gets annoying really fast because you have to do a lot of footwork just to try to make sure that your batteries never hit 0%, because at that point, if it hits 0%, it's going to become a lot harder for you to be able to save the batteries and you become a bit of a sitting duck. And I had to slow myself down a lot just to try to make sure that the batteries lasted all the race, to the point where I ended up getting in 18 minutes and 49 seconds with the Audi R18, which is a bit slower than the Toyota TS050. And with the TS050, I didn't even have to do any sort of ridiculous battery saving. And if you want to know how I did the battery saving, it's all about trailing on the brakes and just keeping a bit of the braking so you can try to charge up a bit of battery whenever you can. And trust me, it gets annoying really fast. And you'll see me do that as I go over the places to overtake and the penalty steering zone. So the main straight is going to be one of the best places to get the overtake done, especially with the use of slipstream. It can help you get close to the car that is in front of you and potentially get an overtake done. Also, you'll see me do the battery saving. I just want to put that out there as I completely missed the apex. But anyways, this part also another potential place to get the overtake done, and you want to try to make it happen because after that it's going to be pretty much a single file line. And if you're right behind someone, then you'll be exposed to the dirty air. Still doing a lot of battery saving, it's getting pretty ridiculous. And still single file line, it's going to be single file line for a while as Autopolis. It's really difficult to get some overtakes done. The hairpin that is coming up this is pretty much your final place to get an overtake done, because after that it is single file line for pretty much the rest of the lap. And the penalty serving zone is hanging out right here. There is only one penalty serving zone. And we'll finish up this lap just to see how much battery saving I have to do by trailing on the brakes and all that stuff. It's pretty annoying. I don't suggest taking this car out for the race, but in the time trial, the Audi R18, the 2016 R18 is pretty good. But anyways, that is pretty much it for this guide, as it's getting really windy over here. I don't know if this mic can record it, but anyways, that's all for me. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. CA getting fed up with this nightmare of a combination, and I'll see you in the next video.